Good morning, Zio here. So I was standing in front of the firing squad when I thought to myself, there were a lot of stories I missed while I was gone. Would actually still like to talk about those. So yeah, we're going to talk about Ubisoft, and this happened about a month or so ago. So yeah, grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? But yeah, so Ubisoft. And now that I did this, there's something on my glasses. I can just see it. Driving me nuts. Yeah. Anyway, this is going to lead to a video where we talk about preservation in video games. I'm just going to go ahead and forewarn you because, that's also a thing that I've always wanted to sit down and talk to y'all about, but, we haven't done it. But yeah, Ubisoft over here. Ubisoft apparently has decided to do the thing. And, Ubisoft's not the first one to do this. This happens at least once a year, I would say, or once every few years. Somebody somewhere will remind us why digital stuff is a horrible thing. Even though I understand, I get it, all my stuff these days are digital as well. Like, I use Steam all the time. That is my primary gaming platform is Steam. If I can get it, download it digitally, I will, one way or another. But physical copy is still something, that's very valuable, especially if you do have a console, where I don't. I have a PC. I don't have a disk drive. Most people don't seem to have disk drives these days either. So, having a physical copy of a PC game is a lot less likely. But yeah, if I did have a console, I probably would prefer the disk drive to be in the console and would prefer physical medium opposed to digital because of things like this. So Ubisoft decided that right after a Steam sale, where they did sell copies of this particular game, among others, they decided that they were going to no longer support their multiplayer, which is fine. Right, I get that. I completely understand the whole idea of, it's costing way too much to, what's the word I'm looking for? Maintain the servers for, games that have been out for multiple years at this point. They've got a very tiny, small player base or whatnot. Not a whole lot of people are doing them. Why I really hate like online only games for the most part. Or not really hate, but I have a strong dislike for anything that is online only. Probably stems from Shadowrun from 360. I absolutely loved that game, and I'll admit it was the first Shadowrun game I actually had played. But I absolutely loved it, and then when the servers, of course, went down for it, I was quite disappointed because it had no single-player mode. It purely was a multiplayer game. I mean, it had some training things, but you really couldn't get the full experience through that or anything. So when the server shut down, the game itself was gone, right? There was no point to have it. I probably still have the disc somewhere, but the game is just essentially a coffee cup holder at this point, right? Anyway. Ubisoft, of course, decided that they were no longer going to support these games, and I got it. I understand. That's totally fine. I'm not going to sit here and rag on them for not supporting something, therefore the multiplayer doesn't happen anymore. I get that. I understand that. But this is where things get a little bit on the sketchier side and why there was such backlash, right? So it wasn't just that. No, they had just recently, apparently, was selling Assassin's Creed for, I want to say, like 75% off. I need a new highlighter, by the way. I have one downloaded, and I forgot how to use it, because apparently I have to hit like 2 buttons on my keyboard to activate it. And I miss being able to highlight and just right-click and highlight. But anyway, that's another thing. So nothing in my articles are now highlighted, just due to the fact that I can't remember how to actually use my highlighter. Oh, there it is. Yeah, 75% off, right? And then they were going to remove it, right? And if they were removing it from being purchased, I'm okay with that too. Right? I mean, I don't like it. I'm sorry, I don't like it. You know, it's like the whole idea of when Nintendo did the limited digital launch of Mario 3D All Stars, right? Like, I bought the physical copy of that when I found it finally, right about the time that they had removed the digital versions of it from the stores, from their storefront and things. There's no real need for that. I don't see how or why they would need to remove the listing of it from a storefront or whatnot. Maybe for some reason they really just need to free up a lot of space somewhere. I don't know. Somebody needs to, so it's got to go. Sure, whatever. But, you know, I'm not a big fan of it, but at the same time, I'm not going to yell at Ubisoft for doing that sort of thing. It's what they did along with it, right? See, not only are they shutting down the multiplayer, not only are they removing it from the storefront, no, they're deciding to rip the license from you from being able to launch said game and play. And these are single-player games for the most part, especially the Assassin's Creeds. You know, they have a multiplayer component to it, but for me, most of them have always felt like it was a tacked-on thing, arena fight, whatever thing. You know, they were just tacked-on things that just, they weren't the main focus of the game, it was the story. But Ubisoft essentially was going to take your ability to play their games altogether. And that is where everyone took umbrage with, right? And rightfully so. You know? Anyone who, of course, was owning these games will no longer be able to essentially launch these games, let alone play it. They definitely won't be able to re-download the game or anything else like that. Now, this article, of course, has been updated since then, and they've got, like, you know, the additional things that have happened after the fact. But shortly after that, Ubisoft came out and they made a statement and was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, guys misunderstood us. You see this forum over here where we posted, I mean, technically an hour ago, but we're going to say we actually posted this the same time we made the announcement kind of deal, where we were clarifying that you won't be able to purchase the games anymore, but you will still be able to re-download the game if you've already purchased it. You'll still be able to play single player and things like that. So they turned, you know, they turned around and went the other way, right? After the backlash from this, because I mean, come on, who wants to buy a game, especially if you had just bought the game, right? And then be told, oh, by the way, you've got about 2 months to play this before you can no longer launch the thing. And this is one of the crux, or one of the issues that I have with digital-only stuff is, you know, once the things that are hosting these things, unless you've got it downloaded on your PC, which most games you do, right? They can essentially just take them away, right? You know, whether if Steam goes down, if all the games are coded, they have to launch through Steam. If Steam ever goes away for whatever reason, and you can't open it anymore, you can't even get into offline mode or anything, your game cease functioning. You've got to do something to make them launch without using Steam. And it's not like it's hard to do that or anything like that. I mean, it's a totally doable thing. More of a pain than anything. But, you know, it's just when they decide to take your ability to actually play the games that you bought or something, like they've retroactively gone in and told Steam to do an update, right? So now if you try to launch that game, it no longer plays or corrupts your files. And, you know, the only way I can see that being even remotely okay is if you're doing something like Google Stadia, right? Where you are purely streaming the game and they no longer are hosting the game on their server, therefore the game will no longer launch. And you don't actually have any of it on your PC or device or whatever it is, right? So if that's the case, I mean, I wouldn't be happy about it, especially if I paid full price for a game and had it ripped away from me like that. It's like, yeah, we're just no longer hosting Skyrim anymore. So we know you paid $65 for it, but we're just no longer going to hold it. We've had it on the servers for about 6 years. We're done. I'd hate that. And that's exactly what Ubisoft was trying to do, was just yank your ability to play the game. And they're not the first ones to do it. Actually, it might be just always Ubisoft, because I can't remember who did it last time, but it's been a few years where they tried to do this exact same thing. Yeah, actually, I feel like I'm getting a major deja vu moment where it also happened after a Steam sale. That, or maybe I just saw the future at some point and already knew this was going to happen, and we're getting into some kind of meta territory there. But anyway, no, seriously. Ubisoft apparently tried to take your licenses from you, so you can't play the games anymore that you paid for. And that's bad. That's the bad part about digital media, right? And when they do that, when they do things like this, especially say like Nintendo and the 3D All Stars, where they did it for a limited time, go sell the high seas. Seriously. I can't tell you to go and do that sort of thing, of course, because it is, legal to tell somebody to go do things. But if you went to, sell the high seas of the internets and play them through other means, or acquire them through other means, I'm not going to bat an eyelash about it, because quite frankly, those companies deserve it at that point. Especially when they take something that you've already paid for and then decide, yeah, you no longer can play that because, we say so. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya.